Studios Productions.
Welcome into episode 5 of the Laur Studios podcast featuring the Silver Beats for their 10th anniversary. Today we're getting into album 5, starting in the Midwest. So we're going to kick it off with Ryan starting us with some good questions.
What is the inspiration behind the title of this album?
Well, the inspiration for the title kind of comes from the theme itself. It's based off of a place that is pretty personal to me for many reasons, and a little personal for Ryan for a couple. We've gone to this place. We wanted something different. You know, we had 5 albums we had 4 albums prior to. We wanted the 5th album to be something unique. We were starting to run out of music catalog that's been built up and ideas. We needed something fresh. And for the second album, we wanted to do something fairly folk-related in a way, and it turned out pretty good, but we were going to go back a little bit more. And an idea had presented itself while I was at this place, which we'll get into in a little bit. And everything is related to a location or a specific thing at this location. And it just kind of goes through the life of the late 1800s and early 1900s of just an average town in the Midwest, which is obviously where we're all from. Yeah. So we got its name from starting in the Midwest, kind of based off of a town that's just getting its fresh roots started back then. So definitely a unique approach for getting a title for us.
What was the original idea that started this album?
So the inspiration came from the place that I was visiting, where at the time of this recording I worked, Crossroads Village and Huckleberry Railroad, and we wanted something completely new, a completely new idea and a style of project. So I had picked up a new map that we had just gotten, had displays of all of the 1800s authentic buildings and some of the information about our steam and diesel locomotives. So I decided to start kind of writing a project, and I thought, well, it'd be kind of an interesting idea to write a song in a style that we don't play in, which is folk and country, which is not our main styles of music by any means, especially the previous 4 albums. So we had no idea how to approach this. So of course, new gear was purchased, our banjo that you can see on the website. So, you know, just a completely new idea, something completely left
fresh,
field.
Something to start off with. You know?
We talked on a call for a little bit about the idea, and we've been back and forth on getting our record sold there. So definitely something new, an interesting concept, and it just came about, and we got the first song, Davison Depot, on the album. It was an instant takeoff, and we kind of knew from there it was going to be a pretty fun and easy project. So yeah, we can even get into a little bit more of that in the final wrap-up. So we'll get into the music here with Ryan's questions.
What song did you have the most fun with?
Davison Depot. Yeah, if you want to talk about that one, Davison Depot.
So we actually had scheduled a time to meet and then go to Crossroads Village to, you know, kind of look at it, get a little bit of promotional videos and stuff done. And that day, when you were going to drive us there, when we came back is when we decided to try actually writing for the album. So I had brought my guitar. I was just playing around fiddling, and then I just started singing lyrics to it, and he picked up, and you know, the demo was wrote and finished that day. You know, the rough idea.
Yeah, it was a pretty first time. I think
it was nice because the last couple albums before that we hadn't been together. You know, so this one, it was nice going back to the original of, you know, we're recording stuff at the same time in the same place. And you know, that for me was really what made it enjoyable.
Yeah, it was
fun.
It was definitely enjoyable. Yeah, let's keep going with some of these song ideas.
Which song came together the fastest and which gave you the most trouble?
Well, I can definitely say Davison Depot was the easiest.
One take.
I mean, you know, I for fact, had so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
It was nice, interesting, so different from what we normally do. I'm going to leave it up to you to do the toughest.
Yeah, I
one.
mean, I think probably the second easiest would have been the Carnival Caravan, which is obviously based off of the 1800s rides that we have. Obviously, a big part of this, you can kind of tell, every building in the park is covered in just 12 songs. There's plenty of buildings. We were able to fit a couple in each song. And so that was the big thing. It was kind of difficult, all of it, really, because you had to work with history. We definitely used our imaginations with a lot of it, because there's a lot of history on all of it. So we used our imagination a little bit and kind of played out what scenarios would have looked like then. But I think probably the hardest one for us to do was Mr. Colwell, because there was several buildings we had to cover just on Main Street. It was essentially covering Main Street, and it was fairly difficult to get the buildings to mesh. Lyrics were rewritten several times. So that was a little bit of a difficult one, and even the Working Artisans was hard. It's the same melody over and over and over again, but there's lyrics. So many buildings to cover. And that's another big thing, is a lot of the songs were difficult because we were using instruments that we had never used before. Trying the harmonica, the dulcimer, the jaw harp, the banjo. We bought a banjo just for this album, just for the first song. Just for Davis and Depot was really it. And it was a good investment, but it was very hard. It definitely challenged us to learn new things.
And I think that was what made it what it was, is the fact that, it was out of our comfort zone. It's
pushed our limits.
It's not just an album, it's a project that we have to work on. You know?
So I mean, it was all a really enjoyable challenge. It was nice to know that we have finally been able to push ourselves. We'll dive into specifics here with these next couple questions Ryan Scott.
Which song are you the most proud of lyrically, and why?
Davis and Depot.
This is going to be a recurring theme
Davis
for this
and
album.
It's still one of our top songs. Still to this day, it's so fun.
It's enjoyable.
It's
it's just a joy to do.
It's such a simple.
It's
melody.
Very simple.
And I think we're proud of it because it clicked so easily. We just sang it, and it
was just like the first and
great.
Second album.
So
when we recorded it, I don't know if it was the same feeling for you. But it felt like the old days. It felt doing it to do it.
Getting back to those old albums, it was a great feeling. So I'd probably have to say Davis and Depot again.
Was there a song that felt too rushed, but you released it anyway?
Maybe Attica Hotel.
We could have had a little bit more work
with the vocals, especially figuring out the harmonics. Like I said, there's a lot of darker harmonics with this album, especially because there's a lot of darker themes. So I would say we kind of rushed the vocals, but we had plenty of time before we released it. We just never got a chance to get back into the studio and work on it. And shortly after the album released, obviously in August, so that's another big thing. It's just a couple more months after that last album, we had another one ready to go. So I think maybe we didn't necessarily rush a song per se, but we definitely rushed its release. And I think that kind of set a lot of the projects back, not being able to be cleaned up.
I think I don't exactly recall fully, but that we just wanted to get the album done before you went up
to college. Yes.
What song was the biggest risk putting on the album, and why?
Busy Bazelle, definitely, because of it being the only electric guitar on the entire album.
It's pretty close. Well, I think maybe Attica Hotel. I know there's another one that had one, but it wasn't our old style. This completely different genre. When you've got one genre sticking out that doesn't fit in, it's a risk. And it did pretty good, so it was definitely a risk putting on. I think the other risk is just the darker theme. Obviously we tried to stick to historical accuracy as much as possible, and we did.
That can be dark.
And we did pretty good. I mean, the topic and time period we're talking about is pretty dark. So it was pretty risky to go that darker path.
It definitely did pay off.
Right. Song 10, Doctor and War. When you're talking about the medical field for the time period, it's going to be risky because it's gruesome. And then you're talking about war on top of that.
Exactly.
It's even worse. The war that we were talking about specifically was the Civil War. So that's even a darker topic in itself.
Even worse.
So it's, I mean, yeah, the topics were dark. It was definitely a risk, but they did well and it was perceived well. And a lot of people, once we went back and reported, we just celebrated recently its 1 year release back at the Village again, a full staff meeting, and people were pretty excited to see the physical copy. Obviously, we can get that on Elastic Stage. Obviously, there's going to be some differences there, a little bit cleaner sounding.
Is there an underrated song that you think the fans should give a little more love?
Probably Fox Fortune.
Yeah.
I really like the guitar riff that I did for that, and the lyrics that you put on top, they just mesh so well.
Yeah, I would have to say Fox Fortune was an interesting one because, again, the people
Very
we're talking
different.
about, it's so hard to write. They were super wealthy people, county commissioners, so more of a lavish topic to talk about, so it was nice being able to have that little sprinkle of light in there. So yeah, I would say check that one back out, listen to the guitar riff, and appreciate it a little bit more. 'Cause it didn't do great.
Give it a little bit more love.
Yeah, give it a little bit of love, yeah.
How do these songs rank among the album's discography?
So, in my opinion, I'm sure you agree.
Davis and
Depot.
right
I mean,
top.
it's the first track. It's
Right
the
up
best
top,
track.
yeah.
Um,
It's right on the album cover. I mean, our Engine 152 is mentioned obviously a ton in that song.
Yeah.
It's the main feature of the park, right on the album cover. I mean, it had to have been the best song. It's
Yeah,
the big,
I mean,
it's the big call.
it was really
it was a huge deal for us.
honestly, it was really the biggest callback for you and me.
Right.
Because that was the first
Playing
song
like
that
we
we've
used to,
ever done together
Right.
since the
second
third
or
third album, I
yeah,
think.
third album, yeah.
Because
So
I
two
mean,
albums.
especially that was
Right.
in person.
Right.
Because on the fourth and the third we worked together, but not in the same place
Right.
at the same time.
And I think those other ones that we had mentioned, Barbering Blues and Busy Bazelle and all these other ones, they all rank pretty high, and we're happy to be able to have a different genre to listen to if you're wanting to listen to different ones. So I think for the most part they're all pretty good. I mean, we like a lot of them. Really no negative to say about a lot of them.
Yeah,
which is,
there's not a single song that I dislike.
for once,
you know?
that was what was kind of nice was for once we had something where we liked everything that we
because
produced.
whenever you make an album, I mean, no matter what, when you're doing it, you think it's good, and then you come back a year later, and well, I don't really like that too
Right.
much. But
But
even
this song
it's been
held
a
up
year,
for us.
over a year,
Yeah.
and there's not a single song that I dislike in
Absolutely.
any aspect.
Yeah, so yeah.
Are there any interesting quirks to be found here?
Davis and Depot. Going back, I know we're going to keep going back, but
It is what it is.
going back, something that a lot of people might not catch is the song opens up with the steam whistle.
Yeah.
And that is the steam whistle of the engine that's on the album cover. In fact, we were on the train. That's about a 45-minute train ride. And we took a trip that day when we went out before we started recording. And we wanted to get live sounds of the park to incorporate in the music. And that was the first one we got was the train. And so that train whistle is what you see on the album cover. It's authentic to the park. So that's always something pretty nice to get. Sound of the train tracks clicking, and it's also part of the same train ride. So all of the sound effects that you're getting was real. Barbering Blues, there's sound effects of glasses clinking that was backed by the food service, and the chit chat that was backed by food service, where there was large gatherings of people talking. It's all live ambience. We didn't want to use sound effects pre-recorded like we had previously on some of our other albums. So everything had to be live. That was a big thing for us moving forward for live.
Carnival
everything.
Caravan, didn't we take
We took part of the actual music from the carousel, and we incorporated it and resurfaced it to how we have it today. So
Exactly.
everything was all live.
Yeah,
it was a huge deal for
Yeah,
us.
every other album that we've had special effects, we have to go onto YouTube or whatever and find something, then download it. But for this album, every single actual sound effect was
Right.
from the park, which
from
was
the park.
something that you and me had discussed earlier in it, was that we
Right.
didn't want to have anything from outside the park.
Right, and that's
besides
a
us
huge,
playing.
huge deal for us.
Yeah.
I guess another interesting thing, obviously, first album that we bought a new instrument specifically for,
Yeah.
the banjo. It was a Fender banjo, and just recently sold it. We didn't have a reason for
Yeah.
it anymore, but so first album that we specifically bought a instrument for,
Yeah.
which we haven't done since.
Yeah, never
so,
done that before.
Definitely a little bit costly for that, but it wasn't too bad. It's something just kind of unique. But I guess the other big thing is obviously it's all specific to a place or a
Yeah.
building. So when you hear that name for the first time, I believe that we did, the names were actual people other
Yeah.
than the fourth album, but the names and the stories aren't
True.
made up.
They're
It's
real
real
people.
history reinterpreted into music, which for us was a huge thing
Yeah.
to accomplish because
It's
it's
so
something
difficult.
we never did.
It's
You
so
had to
difficult
find a
to
way
make
to tell a
a
story.
song about truth.
Right, and you can't
You can't
stretch
make it
and-
up.
You're right, so that was another big thing. But if you have a couple little things to sprinkle in, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've done it, and I'm about to do it again. But Davison Depot, later on, he had recorded a drum part for it, and if you listen back to it, pay attention to the drum part, because I don't know if you meant to do it or if you accidentally did it,
Mhm.
but towards the
Mhm.
beginning of the song, you hear the bass drum hit once, and then it takes a little bit longer, and then it hits again, and then later on it's steady, but it just to me it just meshes very well,
Right.
because it's just
Right, so it's kind of an interesting-
it
Right.
fits in, and I don't know if you meant to do that
Right,
or if
I'm
it was an
glad.
accident.
I'm glad you brought that
but
up.
I love how you did that.
I'm glad you brought that up. The drum track was actually recorded kind of on purpose like that. Obviously, I work with the steam locomotive, and something when you're firing up the engine and it's starting to go, it's slow at first. Obviously, all kids
Right.
chugga chugga choo choo. Well, it's not completely wrong, where it's bump bump bump,
Yeah.
and so it takes a little bit to go. So the drum track actually mimics a train the whole way
Okay,
through.
yeah.
The steel brushes, you'll notice, is kind of the
Yeah,
and it
almost sounds like
sounds
tracks.
like train rolling over the track.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a way to mimic a train, and it
Yeah.
worked. I didn't mean to do it at first, but I was like, well, this kind of works, and I figured it
Yeah,
out.
I love that
So yeah,
drum
another
track.
little I'm glad you brought that up. Another thing is the drums mimic an actual train. So just some real
Yeah.
weird, unique. It's a completely unique album, and we're pretty.
I would
happy
for
with
sure,
it.
give it a listen and, just kind of listen for specific instruments. Or
Right.
I know we've said it on the couple episodes, go to BandLab, it's for free. You
Right.
can literally, record this on your phone and then run it
Mhm.
through there, and you can separate the tracks.
Right.
Just, listen to the drum track of this song.
Mhm.
Listen to the guitar,
Right,
listen to the bass.
to the things.
Because
Yeah.
they're all very unique. This album, there's not a single thing really other than the guitar for Busy Bazell that is in our actual
Right.
style. And
Right,
it was
everything's
really fun
completely
of
new.
a project to just
Right.
try something
Right.
different.
Try something out
And,
there.
you know.
And it's had a huge payoff.
Yeah.
We're hoping we can get it obviously sold in physical copies there, and if you get a chance to visit the park, if you're in the area, do so. And as you go through, if you want to listen to the music, in fact, another kind of neat way we set this up, another quirk, is if you start with song 1 and you walk through the village the way the map takes you, it's going to line up. In
It'll
fact,
line
this
up
song will
almost
line
exact.
up almost exact to how it is. So that's another kind of interesting
Little
thing.
quirk
Is we
we did.
wanted you to feel like you're going the same route all the other people have visiting just by listening to the
Yeah.
music. So everything is
Very deliberate.
It's very meticulously set up with this album, which is something we haven't done before.
Yeah.
So it was a big thing. But I think other than that, it was just a real unique album. We're pretty happy with how
Yeah,
it worked.
it was
We still
a
like
joy
it
to
today,
do,
a year later. So yeah, we'll get some things wrapped up here with Ryan's last little bit, and we'll get going here.
Did this album lead to any new advancements for the future of projects?
The first 3 albums by far, and mostly the fourth, little ashamed to say it, but I didn't actually know how to play guitar chords. If you listen back to any of the early recordings, the guitar parts sound good, but if you listen to them, it's not actual like chords, you know, and it worked for the time. But Davison Depot was one of the first songs that I actually knew what the chords were of it, you know. Like Long Way Home had some chords, but I didn't know what they were called at the time. It was just oh, hey, this sounds good, so I'm going to do it like this. But that was really what kicked it off for me of learning, you know, basic chords, so that way I know what the names of them are.
Right.
With this 5th installment of albums, has there been any kind of band changes?
Yeah, I mean, starting with the album cover, it changed the way we did album covers.
Yeah.
We were given the photo from someone that I had met at work, who now is our 4th member, Gavin Hendricks, who had taken the photo obviously before he was in the band. Gave us permission. All he requested was just to have a shout out on social media, and we obviously used the photo. And it changed the way we did these album covers, because usually we would just plaster the title over the photo and call it good. And I think on physical release, this looks the best. And it's because of the way we did it.
Yeah, it looks nice. It looks clean.
Right.
You know.
If you want to go into what recommendations you gave me and how we got to here.
Yeah, so when we had gotten the picture from Gavin, me and Caden were talking on the phone. We couldn't figure out where to put the name, you know. I had suggested actually to make it look like a Polaroid had been taken, because most of our actual original pictures were from Polaroids that we just taken pictures of, you know, and then digitized it. And yeah, I suggested to have that way we could have it underneath in the full shot of the train uninterrupted by words.
Right.
And obviously, you know, we did that, and it, in my opinion, looks
It
very
worked
well.
very well. Obviously, from the title, it's not our typical. Usually, we have very clean, straight-lined wording on the. But obviously, you can see here you're using a font that is to mimic a marker or a pen. Obviously, kind of going back to when Polaroid pictures were still more mainstream than they are today.
Yeah.
A lot of times, you would write underneath who's in
What
the
it
picture,
was.
or whatever. And so to mimic that Polaroid feel, we felt it was best to go with a handwritten look, and it gives more of that vintage, old time feel, nostalgic.
Yeah.
And just overall, it allowed us to advance how we do our album covers, which we'll get into in the next 2 episodes. We'll see that change quite a bit. So album covers definitely were affected by this. Thank you, folks, for joining us on this 5th installment of the Laur Studios podcast featuring the Silver Beats for their 10th anniversary. Tune in a couple weeks for that.
Just try it again.
That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna cut.
Just take it. Take it to
just
the top.
Thank you, folks, for joining us here for the 5th installment of the Laur Studios podcast featuring the Silver Beats for their 10th anniversary. Go ahead and click the link below for a couple more episodes of the podcast, where next time we'll be talking about our 6th album and next era of the Silver Beats. Good afternoon.
Mr. Colwell, we're out of fun. We're randomized workers of America. Attica Hotel. Mrs. L does the laundry. Mr. Fox is never alone. Dr. Barber was a kid in the Civil War.
Studios Productions.